one more time.
It's only the one, bro.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you very much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, the podcast that focuses on the New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about rookie linebacker Zach Baun and how he has been impressing the Saints coaching staff. And we're also going to be talking about Janoris Jenkins and will he make an impact this 2020 season. But we're going to go ahead and start with the rookie linebacker Zach Baun. And Zach Baun has really been making a positive impression with the Saints coaching staff, especially new linebacker coach Mike Hodges. Now, we all know that Mike Nolan, the former linebacker coach of the New Orleans Saints, left the team to become the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I feel like Mike Nolan's presence is going to be missed in the Saints organization, but the Saints have hired from within. Mike Hodges was the assistant linebacker coach last season, and the Saints bumped him up to officially becoming their linebackers coach, and he has really been impressed with rookie Wisconsin linebacker Zach Baun. Now, Zach Baun was a third-round pick of the New Orleans Saints, and he's one of those guys that a lot of people have a lot of confidence in, man. He's one of those guys that is extremely smart. He's extremely instinctive, and the Saints feel like they can use him in multiple ways. And Mike Hodges says ever since the Saints have signed him, even though they're not having activities where the team can be involved, just his offseason workouts and not to mention his film study, he has been making waves with the coaching staff. Now, I know what you all saying. I mean, yeah, it's good to have the X's and O's down, but what can you do on the field? Now, I know Zach Baun video of him being a running back in high school is going around. I think he had like maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns in a high school game that everybody's talking about. But that just showed you how versatile Zach Baun is. And not to mention, he went to Wisconsin, and don't look now, but Wisconsin is starting to be one of those schools that has really good linebackers. I mean, we know about J.J. Watt's brother, T.J. Watt, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zach Baun is kind of in that same type mode, a sideline to sideline guy. He can cover a tight end and a running back, and he can also put his hand on the ground and rush the passer. So this is something I feel like the Saints need help in when it comes to the linebackers. Now, I think we all can agree that the Saints linebacker group is not what it used to be. When they had Stephon Anthony and Donnell Ellerbe, these guys on the team that couldn't cover with a bed sheet, couldn't tackle an addition problem. But now they have guys that can, that can cover the tight end, cover the running back, guys that can stop the run. We know about Kiko Alonso when he's healthy. We know about Alex Anzalone when he's healthy. And we know about Demario Davis, who sometimes goes in on a blitz. He seems to always get home. But when you have a guy like Zach Baun, I feel like this will be able to add to the group. This is a guy right here that I feel like can make an impact right away, especially if if he comes in and he knows different offensive packages and stuff like that before he even, start to really work out with the team. I feel like him being, somebody that can learn under Demario Davis. Demario Davis can take this guy under his wing. I feel like he can do really, really great things. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, the Saints really believe in this guy. According to Pro Football Focus, I know a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation on draft day were upset that the Saints didn't try aggressively to get linebacker Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma or LSU's own Patrick Queen. I get it. Those guys are really good. But Pro Football Focus had Zach Baun ahead of all of these guys when it came to letter grades. So that, I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt. You can roll your eyes if you want to, but Pro Football Focus really has a knack when it comes to the analytics. I, for one, believe that Zach Baun can make an impact with the New Orleans Saints, and I think that he's going to be one of those guys. I don't think you're going to see it early because I still feel like rookies are going to go through some growing pains because they're not able to practice with the veterans. They're not being able to be a part of team activities and learn camaraderie and chemistry like those other players that's going to come right into camp knowing. But I feel like as the season grows, he's going to get better game after game, and he's going to become more and more instinctive, and you're going to really see him make an impact on the field. So Mike Hodges is very happy about what he's seeing out of Zach Baun, and I'm going to be one of those people that believe what Mike Hodges is saying because I think that Zach Baun, from what I know he did at Wisconsin, he is going to really be a quality New Orleans Saint. And as we move on, let's talk about another defensive player. Let's talk about cornerback Janoris Jenkins. Now, Janoris Jenkins is one of those guys that I feel like I haven't really talked about on the State of the Saints podcast. And I honestly haven't talked about him, not because he isn't worth talking about. I think we all know he is. But it's just all the things that have been going on with the New Orleans Saints. He kind of got pushed under the radar. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's only right for me to talk about him because there is an article out about him as well. And the article talks about is Janoris Jenkins going to have an impact and what should the Saints be looking forward to this season from Janoris Jenkins. Now, Janoris Jenkins was one of those godsends. I mean, nobody expected him to end up with the Saints. I mean, he got into some issues with the New York Giants organizations, beef between him and the organization. They decided to cut ties with Jenkins, and the Saints picked him up, man. The Saints picked him up late in the season, and I feel like it was a plus, man. I mean, we know Eli Apple was dealing with injuries. Patrick Robinson is not a guy you want to have on outside, and Lord knows, neither is P.J. Williams. So the fact that Janoris Jenkins came to the New Orleans Saints late in the season, and he made some plays like as soon as he got there, man, that goes to show you how great of a player he really is. I mean, you knew that he doesn't know anything about the defense. I mean, I think he came to the team on Wednesday and he played on a Sunday. So you know that the only thing the defensive staff probably told him is, look, make sure that this guy doesn't catch the ball. He was playing a lot of man-to-man coverage. And as the week went by, as he got into practice, he got more and more better. I mean, we know about the wild card game when Stephon Diggs was throwing his helmet on the sideline, frustrated, whining and boo-hooing to the offensive coordinators, talking about he want the ball and he want to be a part of the offense. And it got so bad that they had to send him on a jet sweep because Janoris Jenkins was in his head like that. Look, Janoris Jenkins is one of those guys I feel like the Saints have been looking for a long time. For the last couple of years, just like the whole Michael Thomas number 2 wide receiver conversation we've been having as Saints fans, the Saints have not had a number 2 corner. It's always been Marshawn Lattimore and plug and play on the other side. You don't have to worry about Janoris Jenkins. I think sometimes we forget how good Janoris Jenkins really is, probably because the New York Giants were a train wreck and they've been dealing with changing coaches each and every year. It seems like they just cannot get it together. We know they fired Tom Coughlin. Then all of a sudden, Ben McAdoo came. That was a train wreck. Pat Shermer came. That was an even bigger train wreck. And I feel like Janoris Jenkins kind of just got lost out there, man. And honestly, his confidence probably took a hit too. When you're a really good player and you're playing on a team that you know is not going to make the playoffs and picking in the top 5 every single year because the organization is really dealing with some growing pains, it can really mess with you psychologically. Because I feel like as soon as he left the organization and he ended up playing for the Saints, I feel like you started to see a change in Janoris Jenkins. Not that I feel like he's one of those players that took plays off, but I just feel like when an organization is just so bad, it's just so hard for you to be up for every game every Sunday. So him coming to the Saints at the time, I think the Saints, I think they were like a 10-win team. He was ready and he was motivated. And I feel like he's going to be even more motivated this season because it's the start of the season. He knows the guys. He's played with these guys. He's played against these guys. You know what I'm saying? So he knows, where his spot is and what he means to the team. It will be so great if we can get Lattimore to play a full season, Marcus Williams to play, Malcolm Jenkins, who I feel like is a field warrior. He never really gets hurt. I don't think he's been hurt in 6 years. And if you can get some guys in the nickel, I'm still concerned about that. I mean, I know you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the nickel, but that's just one guy. I mean, Patrick Robinson is a guy that stays hurt, and we all know about P.J. Williams. So hopefully that these guys can kind of connect, and I think that Janoris Jenkins knows his place, and I feel like he's going to play with a swagger he hasn't played with since, dare I say, he was with the Rams. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Janoris Jenkins is going to do this season. I hope that the team secondary can stay intact, because if they do, this can be a magical run. This can be a magical run for the New Orleans Saints, man. So the one thing about Janoris Jenkins, you know that he can cover. He's not afraid to tackle. And like I said, he has a lot of confidence. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about linebacker Zach Baun, and what do you think about him as a linebacker and what he's going to do with the New Orleans Saints? And also Janoris Jenkins, do you think the Saints have solved their number 2 cornerback problem? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search the State of the Saints podcast. Also on facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you all very much for supporting the podcast. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing some of your comments throughout the week as we cover the New Orleans Saints. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?